So this is question 6. So for this question, we've got a few things going on. We've got a quadratic model here with this equation, and we've been asked a couple of things. We've got a sensible question here where it's, you've got to use the model, figure something out. Then again in part B, using the model, we want to find something out about the possible selling price. And then part C is just, you've got to see if you can figure out what's going on. There's just a little trick with it, but it's not too bad of a question. So let's have a look at part A first. So for part A, we have to explain why £15 is not a sensible selling price for the tie. So it's 2 marks. Now, X is the selling price of the tie. If you read this bit here, P is the profit, measured in thousands of pounds, and X is the selling price. Well, what happens if I actually put the selling price, 15, into this equation? Well, what you get is you get 100 minus 6.25 times 15 minus 9 all squared. So that's going to be 6 squared. So what you actually have is P equals 100 minus, so when you do this on your calculator, minus 6.25 times 36, you're going to get 225. Now that gives me a negative value of 125. Well, that's rubbish, right? This is my profit. Well, I don't want to be making minus 125,000 every year. This is my annual profit. This is silly. It's not a sensible selling price for the tie. So show that this is negative, and then a little comment saying, the profit is negative. Profit less than 0. And that'll do. Just make that little comment saying the profit is less than 0, so it's not a good selling price. So that's part A done. Part B. Let's have a look what's going on. So for part B, it tells you that the company, given that the company made an annual profit of more than 80,000, find according to the model the least possible selling price for the tie. Right, so how can we do this? Well, this is your profit. So what this is saying that this is greater, more than is greater in terms of inequalities. So what I actually have is this. Let's write it like 100 minus 6.25, just using the equation for P. X minus 9 all squared. Right, P is greater than 80,000. That's what this is saying. So if it's 80,000, now don't forget P is in in thousands of pounds. Sorry, so this is 80. If it's 80,000 like this. So how can I go about solving this equation now? Well, this is an equation. So let's just solve it like we normally would. I want to get this in terms of X, so I'm going to take this 100 off first. We've got to deal with this 100. So we take the 100 across. So that gives me minus 6.25 times X minus 9 all squared is greater, so 80 minus 100 minus 20. Okay. Again, just going through the steps to solve an equation. We need to get rid of this minus 6.25 here at the front of the quadratic here. Well, we want to get rid of it. We're just going to divide through by minus 6.25. So, dividing through by minus 6.25, that's going to give me X minus 9 all squared still. Now, be careful here. If we divide through by a negative when we're dealing with inequalities, make sure you flip your inequality sign. So this is going to be less than. So minus 20 divided by minus 6.25. Let me just quickly do that on the calculator. Minus 6.25. So you get 3.2 here. So that's 3.2. So we're nearly there now. To solve this, we're just going to take square roots of both sides. So that's going to give me X minus 9 is less than the square root of 3.2. I should have enough room. 3.2. So, just be careful here. If we're taking the square root, we've got to take the plus or minus of it. Plus or minus the square root of 3.2. And then to solve for X, take the 9 across. So X is equal to 9 plus the square root of 3.2, or 9 minus the square root of 3.2. Well, we want the least possible. So hopefully it's clear to see that that's going to be when X is equal to 9 minus the square root. That's going to be the smaller of the selling prices. So x is equal to 9 minus the square root of 3.2. So if you do that in calculator, x should be equal 9 minus the square root of 3.2. So you'll get, if I do it to some place, x equal to 7.21. And that's all it is for part B. Just make sure you pick the right one. So it's 9 minus the square root of 3.2 as opposed to 9 plus the square root of 3.2. And then part C, so it's 2 marks, it's 1 for each part. So it's a very small question, or a small part. You've got to be able to spot the little trick to it. Now, this curve here, this quadratic, its maximum is going to be at 100. So we have to get rid of this part here. So the way to actually do that is you've got to get one of these to 0. Now, obviously, this is already a constant, so we can't change it. So we're going to have to do something with this x. So if x was, say, 10, that would be 10 minus 9. That would be 1 squared. So I'd get minus 6.25 there. So it's close. So obviously, I've got to make this 0. So how do I make that 0? Well, I'm just going to put a 9 in there. When x is 9, 9 minus 9 is 0. So this becomes 0, and I get the maximum possible annual profit will be 100. So with P being in thousands of pounds, it's going to be £100,000. So the max profit, if I call it P, will just be 100,000. 100,000. And the selling price for the toy that maximises the annual profit is just what we've put into here. What was the number we put in there to make this 0? Well, that was just 9. So therefore, the selling price, II, x equals 9. Or £9. And there you go, guys. There's a few little parts to it, but hopefully that's nice and easy. And that's the 7 marks for that part.